Hey, here are 5 stupid things I've noticed about Superman. He has the world's shittiest secret identity. I sometimes think that Superman's secret identity is like the DC Universe equivalent of Area 51. Everybody pretty much knows, but it's never been officially acknowledged. And really, how could they not know that Clark Kent is Superman? Not only is the disguise itself laughably thin, just glasses and a different suit of clothes and a meek, clumsy demeanor, depending on which incarnation of the character we're talking about, but the list of people who know for a fact that Clark is Superman, either because they figured it out for themselves or because he just flat out told them, is long enough to fill a phone book. Friends, fellow superheroes, ex-girlfriends, villains, fuck, Lex Luthor has figured it out a bunch of different times. It's a good thing that erasing someone's memory is so easy to do in Superman's world, because otherwise he might wind up having to kill some of these motherfuckers. His constantly endangered circle of friends. How great of a hero is Superman? He's so great, he doesn't just have one damsel in distress, he has an address book filled with them. In addition to every single person who's ever in trouble anywhere on the planet, he's also constantly having to fly to the rescue of his co-workers, his parents, his childhood friends, and of course, biggest of all of these is Lois Lane, who in the 75 years of publication history of the character has gone back and forth between being a moon-eyed Superman fangirl and a determined, tough-as-nails, don't-take-any-shit reporter. But despite whatever incarnation we might be talking about, she has always consistently maintained the ability to get into shit so deep that were it not for the flying, invulnerable dude with the secret crush on her, she would be dead 1,000 times. How did she ever survive before Clark Kent moved to Metropolis? His S isn't an S. Or is it? I admit this one's pretty nerdy, the sort of niggling, unimportant detail I would probably mock someone else for bringing up. But fuck it, am I the only one who thinks that the S on Superman's chest should actually be an S and not some Kryptonian symbol that just so happens to resemble an S? Do we really need to say that it's some Kryptonian hieroglyphic or a family crest to justify it? The guy who can fly and bounce bullets off his chest is dubbed Superman by the Daily Planet, not so much of a stretch, and to protect his civilian identity, he starts performing his heroic exploits dressed in a colorful costume with a big fucking stylized S on his chest. S for Superman. See? He's a liar. He lies to everyone every day he goes to work at the Daily Planet and pretends to not be Superman. And he makes up excuses, lies, to leave and go off and save the day without anyone finding out that he's Superman. And every once in a while, when someone will directly confront him with the accusation that Clark Kent and Superman are one and the same, he concocts these audacious, absurdly complicated webs of bullshit to throw the accuser off the track. This behavior was most egregious in years gone by, particularly in the Silver Age, where it often seemed like Lois Lane's full-time job was proving that Clark Kent was Superman. And speaking of that, he's a dick. The Silver Age was also the most active period for super-dickery, and like super-dishonesty, the most frequent victim was Lois. My favorite example of this is a story called Mrs. Superman that was published in Superman issue number 124 back in 1958, and I actually made an entire video just about this story. It's on my channel. It's titled Superman Sure is a Horrible Person, if you want to watch it. The story, in short, is this. There's a plane crash and Clark and Lois are trapped on this island, and Clark can't use his superpowers to get them off because a kryptonite meteor has crashed nearby and the entire area is surrounded above and below by kryptonite pollution. So, thinking that he's going to be trapped on this island with Lois forever, Clark reveals his identity to Lois and proposes to marry her in a native ceremony. But a few days later, before they can get married, the kryptonite pollution unexpectedly clears up, and Superman realizes that he's no longer trapped. Now he can leave the island. So he does what any moral, sane, caring person would do, and he concocts this demented web of lies to convince Lois that he isn't Superman after all, despite his direct revelation of his identity to her, and get out of the wedding. He makes Clark Kent look like a huge asshole, essentially throwing himself under the bus, all to escape having to marry this woman he supposedly loves and keep her from being one more person who finds out his secret identity. It really does have to be read to be believed. I know that expectations for Man of Steel are really, really high, but something tells me that it won't be able to top Mrs. Superman in terms of sheer deranged audacity. And that's probably a good thing. The hardest part is only picking 5. Catch you next time.